obviously a lot here to talk about, and what I mean by a lot here to talk about is why it is that they are now, just now, deciding to go ahead and lay the indictments in on Puff Daddy. Now, guys, this right here is the first of two videos. Make sure you guys stick around for both. I'm going to go ahead and release this video here first, seeing how it is that I am making it on Tuesday night with the intention of getting it out on right around lunchtime on Wednesday. It's nothing that would be breaking or anything being added, because I don't think it's a video designed for that. It's more along the lines of a theory on why it is that they've taken this long to get to Puff Daddy and, of course, lay the indictments that you guys are going to hear here in a second. But also, to go on top of it, there's also going to be a video talking about the media misinformation and why it is that the media is going much, much harder this time around, or at least why it feels that way with the rhetoric and everything this time around versus 2020, 2016, 2012, or any other election cycle. So make sure you guys stick around for both. I'm also, at the very end of the video, going to give you guys a bit of a schedule on how the week is going to go, because obviously I'm not going to be here on Thursday, and that right there could throw a bit of a kink in things on Friday. You guys know how I do these videos. I normally do them the day afterwards or the day before, and of course, the reason why I do that is obviously to get everything in order, or to give you guys initial thoughts and then come back later on to the follow-up. You guys know how I am, especially with new information. With that right there being said, now let's go ahead and get to the Puff Daddy indictment.
Davis and some of these music executives that taught maybe somebody like a Diddy and others, is Diddy at a level of being untouchable where he's protected, or is Diddy a target that they'll eventually put all the blame on him and make sure they get away with it?
On occasion, Combs carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten victims and witnesses. Now, Combs did not do this all on his own. As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy. He used his business and employees of that business and other close associates to get his way. Those individuals allegedly...
That final 30 seconds, of which, by the way, we're going to be going back and looking at some more. That final 30 seconds of the indictments being read out loud, of what Puff Daddy was being indicted of, that right there is what tells me this situation has now gone into overdrive. And, of course, that last little bit involving Suge Knight on Patrick Bet David back about 5 or 6 months ago. I'll be leaving the full interview in the description box, roughly an hour and 7 minutes. I advise you guys check it out. To me, tells me everything you need to know. Nobody is untouchable. And, of course, the minute this situation broke, the minute this indictment came out, the fact that it's election year, people started posting all kinds of photos of Trump with Puff Daddy and their relationship. Yet, for whatever reason, they tend to forget that Puff Daddy also had a lot of photos with people like Hillary Clinton. And speaking of Hillary Clinton, maybe this right here could be the reason why it is that they've decided to basically go after anybody and everybody for what they post on social media.
Back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence, because than boosting Trump back in...
I really wish this Miss Piggy looking woman would go away, but I want you guys to know right now that I am not suicidal. Just figure out to go ahead and say that. However, I will be redirecting you to the story of Ricky Vaughn, meme maker. I will be redirecting you guys to that, so that way you guys can know exactly what happens to you when you get a little bit too close, and I mean just good old-fashioned memes. But of course, the memes are all over the place, so that's a lot of people to try to lock up for the establishment to do, and I don't think they'll be able to pull that off. Still, though, at the same time, though, the question remains, why in the world have they now suddenly decided to indict Puff Daddy? Which also brings me back to a previous point from before, because, of course, people are showing those photos of Trump. Trust me, if Trump was involved in this type of crap right here, we would have known about it. But don't be surprised if some BS does, in fact, come out. These people still share photos of the man with Jeffrey Epstein, when in reality it was Trump who actually blew the whistle on everything that was going on with Epstein. And it was also him that initially got wise to this and booted him out of Mar-a-Lago, and even later on said that the man was going to have problems. And of course, here we are. I'm telling you right now, the man did not kill himself. But still, at the same time, though, the point is this right here. I'm not suicidal. But let's go ahead and get to this indictment.
To carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine.
Sounds like some pretty bad stuff. Look, you hear the rumors from Cat Williams. You hear people talk about, say, for example, like the stuff that the influence that's over Usher, the influence over Justin Bieber. You hear a lot of stories when it comes to Puff Daddy. And I did talk about this in a previous video when they initially went after him and they raided his place for computers and all kinds of stuff like that. But many people are wondering, why is it that they have just now decided to go after him? Now, like I said, that right there was only about maybe 54 seconds of the indictment. I'll play the rest of the stuff for you guys, probably in succession as in back-to-back, uninterrupted, without me cutting in, because I do believe I can get away with roughly 2 minutes playing it right there for you. I don't think I need to read everything aloud and tell you everything that's going on, but obviously this type of stuff does in fact sound pretty bad, and it does in fact make you wonder, why is it that this man was not locked up before? However, I think that the interview with Suge Knight that he did on Patrick Bet David, Value Entertainment, which by the way will be in the description box of this video. I advise you guys go check it out, listen to it, only about an hour and 7 minutes. I think that Suge, while definitely sitting in the can, made some pretty good statements in said piece. And of course, he also made some things that quite frankly were alleged and not actually proven, but in a lot of ways, if you think about it, make a lot of sense. Now, many people are going to take what Suge Knight has to say and they're just going to toss it out because Suge Knight got locked up and he's in prison right now. He'd probably say anything and everything to get out. However, the thing is this right here. I don't think Suge at this moment in time is really cares. I think Suge is just letting it all out. Suge is probably like, I'm getting close to the end. Maybe I've cut a deal somewhere. Who the hell knows? I don't think he really truly cares. So I don't see a reason for him to lie about anything or anybody else, except, of course, his own situation. Which brings me back to somebody else who's done interviews involving or talked about Puff Daddy and talked about the old stuff like, say, for example, Biggie and Tupac, that right there being Eugene Deal. You got to ask yourself a question. And don't worry, that interview, I'll try to link it in the description box as well from Vlad TV. I advise you guys to go check them both out. I probably am going to want to rewatch that one, but I've already seen it before. The thing you got to ask yourself is, why in the world is it that Suge Knight lost money after Tupac died, yet somehow or another Puff Daddy earned money after Biggie Smalls died? This type of stuff right here makes people wonder why it is that Puff Daddy has practically still been successful in spite of all the other crap that, quite frankly, has happened around him. Before I give you guys my honest to God theory and respond to some of the things that Suge Knight said in that interview, let's go ahead and listen to the rest of the indictment.
Ecstasy and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs, and that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. On one occasion in March of 2016, that conduct was captured on video and later reported in the media. Specifically, Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a victim in a Los Angeles hotel when the victim was attempting to flee. As alleged, these assaults often resulted in injuries to the victims, which took days or weeks to heal. In addition to the violence, the indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims. And the indictment alleges that he maintained control over the victims in several ways, including by giving them drugs, by giving and threatening to take away financial support or housing, by promising them career opportunities, by monitoring their whereabouts, and even by dictating their physical appearance.
About young musicians, blackmailing them with opportunities or saying, look, I'm going to cut this off if you don't do this right for me, the parties, the crap that happens backstage. Look, like I said, there are several people out there who have made documentaries on this, actually going through and labeling every single time that Puff Daddy hit his girlfriend, beat his girlfriend, did something very, very stupid, or also made advances at other males, all that type of good stuff that you would find, all the type of degeneracy that you would find these guys' private lives, and you wonder why is this type of crap has not come out before. Well, it's probably because, well, and I'll say this right here, because I obviously plan on doing a documentary piece at a later date, probably sometime next year when the content fully transitions, on what I think Puff Daddy is, especially the more and more information that we get and the more and more information that, quite frankly, comes out. But I'm pretty sure it's not going to be that much different from what I'm about to say now. I 100% absolutely agree with Suge Knight. I do, in fact, believe that Puff Daddy was, if not an FBI asset or informant, definitely a federal one. Let's go back in time and watch a bit of this interview.
Get punished as hard as a regular person because, you know, he used to be an FBI informant for a long time, they say. So I'm quite sure that played a role.
You're saying...
Asking the question, me, Cat, and Puffy, we had no reason to be hanging out. Me and Cat, and not me and Puffy. So that's that.
Got it. So you're saying Diddy's an FBI informant, and he's been one for many years.
That's what they say. Nothing ever happens, but it's still, like I say, it ain't my business. But I said that because anybody else got it up quick, fast, in a hurry. But, you know, the most important thing about this is that with me, you got some people will have a opinion on something that either they weren't a part of or they wasn't there. And I never want to be that type of person.
Now, hold on a second. I do want you guys to know right now that it's a phone call. It's a phone he's talking through. So, therefore, it's going to be a little bit grainy. But, of course, we've got more of this to play. But make sure you guys bear with me. Now, granted, there's not a whole lot of proof that that's the case. But given the fact that you've got some higher-ups coming out and saying that this guy right here threatened me too, given that there and given what the hell's been coming out, it would not surprise me if the man is not controlled. Also, given the relationship, the contacts he has, the fact that he has basically rubbed shoulders with just about anybody and everybody in D.C. at some point in time, especially presidential candidates, and also given the fact that we're living in a world right now where it seems like anybody and everybody that is an elitist is starting to roll over on one another, it wouldn't surprise me if all these people weren't federal assets to a certain degree. It almost lends credence to the whole thing about rap music potentially being some type of psyop to confuse the black community and, of course, help lead to its actual downfall. A topic I may touch in another video, but of course I want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section. I'm pretty sure some of the comments are going to be pretty daggone wild and probably going to make me laugh, while some of them are probably also going to make me cry too. I'm just simply saying, giving you the heads up that of course there may be a video coming out in the near future following up on this saying I was 100% absolutely correct, or I may even throw a crazier theory out there. But I don't see a reason for Suge to lie. I think Suge, quite frankly, could have been correct. However, when it comes to the conversation of who it was that taught P. Diddy to be this way, well, then the conversation gets a little bit deeper.
Oh, well, we got to stop this pointing the finger at the person who gets caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Where did it start from? But see, people don't want to touch on those angles that they started being the major executives who run these labels. So you guys want to speak on the people who got thrown under the bus, the sacrifice lamb.
Okay, well, that's actually very insightful for you to give that perspective. So if you're saying what Diddy did to Usher or what Diddy did to Bieber, that we've seen these videos, not necessarily what he did, but the stories where he's living with them at 13. If he was their mentor, who was Diddy's mentor? We know some of the big names. I'm just curious if you have any names. You don't seem like somebody...
Well, for number one was Clyde Davis. And you got to understand one thing. If Death Row, when I started Death Row, you got to remember one thing. I didn't have no co-founder and nobody else. So I started that company on my own and grabbed Dr. Dre. At the end of the day, it was like this. When you have, say, Universal is one big company. Doug Morris is the man.
Perspective, though, you actually spent time with Diddy. When you used to go to New York, you would spend time with him, and he would spend time with you. When he would come, you guys would go hang out together with obviously other peers. Did you notice anything around Diddy where you said, this is a little bit, obviously there's a woman, you're having a good time, you're partying, you're doing your thing, but did you ever see anything where it was out of line, where you said, I think this guy likes men, or I think he likes certain things that's a little weird?
Well, all due respect to Puffy, you got to realize one thing. He didn't start off like that. I'm quite sure somebody taught him that, and that's more
Got it.
deep in the industry. You guys who got involved with a lot of people who they mentor.
Now, real clip. There's another clip that I'm playing for you guys. We're hearing the B-roll footage that I'm not exactly sounding the audio on, but I'm pretty sure if you're actually reading or you're actually watching the video rather than listening to it, either one is fine with me. Hey, look, however you guys want to listen to this video or watch it, please do so. There are some people out there who love my face and some people who, quite frankly, absolutely hate it. But still, though, at the same time, though, if you guys are reading along or if you stop it, you pause it, read it, and then go to the actual article on said person, whether it be Wiki or whatever on Clyde Davis or whoever, you're probably going to notice a certain word that's getting kicked around a lot, which, by the way, is also for the same part going to how do I say, well, I got to tread kind of lightly here, but there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have a lot of very, very wild takes about the
Jews,
and especially those
the Jews
who may be atop of the music industry. But I don't think that that's the actual point of this video because, as I said before, I personally believe that Puff Daddy is, in fact, somebody who's a federal asset. Maybe not an actual agent, but definitely somebody who can give tips to certain drug deals or give tips to certain people to keep certain individuals away from their clients, stuff like that there. Let me just go ahead and, it's basically the good old-fashioned, look, I'll tell you who the hell's moving against you, that type of thing there. Because if you guys really and truly think about it, Puffy has done stuff that Suge got arrested for and many other people got arrested for as well. And of course, I did briefly bring up Eugene Deal, and I'm not going to bring up everything that happened the night that Biggie Smalls died. But of course, when you listen to that man's story, you probably think to yourself that, yeah, maybe Puffy is taking some deals somewhere. He's been given a little bit too much influence, and at this moment in time, it looks like these people are, in fact, rolling over on one of them. But then the question becomes, is he actually holding the bag? Well, I played the clip earlier of Suge basically saying, yeah, he's probably going to end up holding the bag because he's not untouchable. Let's go back and restart that and listen to it a little bit further before or a little bit further back till we get to that moment, and I'll tell you exactly what he means.
Davis and some of these music executives that taught maybe somebody like a Diddy and others, is Diddy at a level of being untouchable where he's protected, or is Diddy a target that they'll eventually put all the blame on him and make sure they get away with it free?
I mean, he's definitely going to be the black motherfucker holding the bag. Because you gotta realize one thing. That boy's life is dangerous. And his life isn't, and he's just not dangerous with the shit they said he was doing, but he's in danger. He know too much. One thing you got to realize is he probably having a conversation right now with the higher-ups and everybody else to figure out how it's going to work itself out. Because he know
what
all...
Suge is saying is that nobody is untouchable. Basically, what Suge is saying is that it's very possible that if there's something bigger going on out here, which is something I brought up in my previous video on this, which was like months ago, it was back during the summer, chances are Puff Daddy would be probably the fall guy. But the question then remains, how much information does he give? How much does he do to try to get off? How much does he do to try to lighten his load? Well, Sean Puff Daddy Combs is getting a little bit older, but I don't think he wants to spend the rest of his life in a prison. It is possible that he may try to cut a deal, assuming he is convicted. And of course, if they actually lock him up, it's assumed that he probably will try to cut a deal somewhere. Now, it's also possible that Diddy may try to take a different way out of this. I'm not going to explore that in this video here, but the fact of the matter is that it definitely looks like something big is going on. And Puff Daddy, of course, being the biggest name, being the person with the most amount of dirt on him, with the most amount of crap that's in the underbelly, as you might would say, the stuff that's below the surface, it seems to me like the FBI has finally picked a federal asset to be the one, quote-unquote, holding the bag. Asking me, what do I think will happen as a result of all this? Well, what will probably happen is that you will probably get more and more people coming forward. You'll get more and more information. The story could, in fact, get buried until after the election day, because, of course, we're going to be hearing about nothing but the election all the way going into Election Day itself and probably after Election Day, which, by the way, we'll be talking about a little bit more in video number 2, because we got to talk about the media and media misinformation and why it is that they're so much worse, or why it feels so much worse in video number 2. But I'm pretty sure that this right here, like I said in the previous video on the same topic, is probably going to lead to something much, much bigger. But in the meantime, though, Sean P. Diddy Combs is absolutely done. Now, gang, I did tell you that I was going to tell you guys how the rest of the week was going to go, and I'm probably going to tell you guys again in video number 2, and I'll probably say it again for the videos that I've got scheduled for Thursday, because right now I have 1 or 2 scheduled. I'm not sure I'm going to work it yet, but these are the videos that you're probably going to see. You're going to see the follow-up to this video here that's going to be coming out at 5 o'clock tomorrow, and you'll probably get 1 video on Thursday. It will be the video on Anna Kasparian, School and Jink on guns, and then, of course, I want to do 1 to 2 more takes on the whole Daryl Cooper, Andrew Roberts, the whole Churchill as a villain type thing, because, yeah, there was actually a lot more that we never got to in that Pierce Morgan bit that I wanted to release in sort of a part 3, but it may turn into part 3 and 4. Either way, though, make sure you guys stick around for all those pieces. They will be out this week. Please hit the like button, comment, leave a comment in the comment section, and I shall see you guys later.